Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to RimWorld Survival. Recap of the goals that you all have voted on, and let's roll to the game scene. So last episode was a bit of a dangerous one, mostly because our dear brawler doctor Tony got her arm shredded. We have replaced the arm. She's being properly medicated, and hopefully we can make some progress in base design to prevent such injuries in the future. Alright, I'm going to make one more large sculpture. This large sculpture is getting installed to prevent people from using the horseshoe pin in an irradiated area. That way they don't get irradiated when they're recreating. That would be a good thing. What else is going on? I do have some tips. So that tip came from Imanian. But then I also wanted to change some zoning here. So first, let's get rid of the area 1. We don't need it anymore. So one of the zoning things I'm going to do is make the limited radiation zone not a contiguous zone here, so that it's not valid to cross over like that. They will go around and not use this door. In fact, I could even forbid that door. Another thing I wanted to do is to sort of clean up this no-rad zone around the map, to sort of limit all the possible areas that they might even go. I don't really care for them to even enter this spot anymore. And this is just precaution. Alright, there probably is some other painted no rad or limited rads. Yeah, actually, let's not even go. Let's go that far. Okay, that looks about right to me. Other tips I received, Kiffy mentioned that I have had the Healmech Serum unwalled for a while, potentially targeted by would-be tantrums, so we'll wall that up. Matthew mentioned the medical tab. Now, I haven't modified the medical tab to enable radiation to be their own sort of tab, but if I sort by diseases here, the sort of larger the pink bubble, the more irradiation they have. Now, of course, this doesn't make it very easy to restrict them, whereas the number tab doesn't have anything like that. I don't know. Between those two tabs, I kind of wish I could combine the two, but I cannot. So James is already working at large sculpture. That's good. And Alexi mentioned about the zone here. About the contiguous sort of radiation zone. And I'm just going to remove a big chunk here so that no one walks across. So we're getting sort of primed and ready to be able to defend our base with all sorts of different weapons. You know, soon we'll have uranium slugs. I actually have the resources for it. And I'll probably put it somewhere like here. The issue is, of course, this is a thin choke point. Oh, she is conscious now. Wow. Alright, I'm going to have her quickly pick up her blade and then just force rest on her. Of course, she's a night owl in daytime. She divorced Stormy. I mean, there's a lot of other problems going on in her life right now. Sort of feel bad, but, you know. These things happen. Symph. I'm going to take everyone else off of mining. The lower skilled you are at mining, the more likely you are to get bugs when you're doing deep drilling. So it's actually not all that safe to do that, to allow that. So working towards the goals that I have set out. I should be working on mining up the north for both resources, which, as you can see, I've been doing, and also trying to find overhead mountain areas that might be viable for ship construction. The idea is if I find a large enough overhead mountain, I can only remove the mountain right where it is and construct the ship without becoming super irradiated. Now, looking around, it doesn't seem like that's the case, which means any ship that I construct is going to be tough to construct because I'll have to be standing around in open radiation. Not ideal, but, you know, this might end up being just how it has to be, you know? Alright, Tony is about as low as she can go. I think I'm going to have her drink a little psychite tea, consume a little insect jelly. Trying to do recreation things as quick as she is able. And that way, I guess she already has developed immunity, but I should probably allow her to heal up. The longer she's shredded as she is, the more pain that she's in and the more problems she will cause. Alright. So life is getting a little bit back to normal. Now, the thing about sappers, or would-be sappers, I'm not exactly... they must have been sapping here. Yeah, that was probably their sap point. So the way sappers work is they basically want to path to a bedroom, and a bedroom that they can get to without turrets. So if I really wanted to make a perfect anti-sapping base, I'd have to put a turret in this bedroom here, in Tony's bedroom. I'd have to have turret coverage, and not just that the arc covers it, but obviously this turret can only fire here. I would need a turret probably around here to cover all this wall. I would need a turret here to cover this area. It would be possible to actually make the eastern half of my base look very unattractive to sappers. Now, sappers don't consider traps, and they do not consider IEDs. So the idea is to sort of steer the sappers with very carefully placed turret coverage so that they are encouraged to go to where you have traps and IEDs set. So if you take a look here, I don't have turret coverage right here, but that actually would be pretty easy to do. All I have to do is bump out this wall a bit. Again, another irradiating task for sure, but one that might not be that bad to do. So I have turret coverage from here. I don't know if the turret can shoot this here though, but this area might not be that attractive to sappers anyway. I don't have turret coverage here. I have turret coverage all along this wall. All along this wall except for these two spots. Actually, you know what I might end up doing? Because it's not likely that I'm going to get into any brawls around here, is I might just tidy that up into a tighter corridor. And then I have turret coverage all the way down to this door and all along these walls. I don't have it here. So this here would be maybe attractive for a sapper. The only issue, of course, is that sapping there requires them to come all the way into my future kill box. Okay, acid. That is, yeah, we'll fix this. We don't need you standing out in the open here. That is unnecessary. And this is how you get absolutely super rated. I suppose I was hoping that there'd be no reason to be wandering, but he's going out walking. And if they're going to be walking into radiation, that's a big old nope. So I'll just trace the mountains. Hello? He's like, keeps forgetting that, you know, he's not allowed out there. And then if I really wanted to do anti-sapping, this turret does cover all the way down to this door. These bedrooms are insecure. This bedroom is insecure. This hallway is insecure. So I need to add even more turrets to secure those areas. And then this area is no longer attractive at all because it has a lot of coverage. This bedroom would be somewhat attractive, except for... No, I guess it wouldn't. I would need some turret coverage here to dissuade them from entering that spot, though. But the idea is that before I fire up the reactor, I would have turret coverage for all the areas that are potential weak points for the base, and then the idea would be to to set deadfalls and IEDs for where the sappers, where I want to draw the sappers to go. And that's sort of the way the turrets work. So she's healing up quite nicely. And then, of course, we have bionic legs that we need to make for a whole lot of people. Now, bionic legs is a suggestion I see in YouTube comments often. Just keeping in mind that working towards goals is sort of the bread and butter of this series, which is why I'm mostly just working towards goals. Not perfectly, but mostly. Alright, so these doors are just for shooting ports. And then additionally, I will probably break this wall down and bump it out. So that there isn't a teeny little pocket of no coverage. It'd be a weird place for them to sap, too. Not that I wouldn't put it past them, just I'd rather have them not. Alright, Tony is in constant pain. Let's give her a fine meal. That's kind of what they're for. Alright. And I guess there's no coverage this area either. So what I'll do is I will make this larger than previous, and it will just cover all of this as a result. Trying to make it easy to have good turret coverage. Another thing I could do is to bump out this wall a bit, actually, and then they won't get stuck walking on these turrets constantly. It will speed them up in the long run. So, a lot of little projects coming my way, for sure. There's also imperfect turret coverage here, but like I said, that's actually not that bad. I would love for them to path towards that spot. It would make it very easy to kill them. Alright, Mr. Jans, would you be so kind as to sculpt? Now, I'm not supposed to have roofing, but the simple fact of the matter is, if the roof is above a wall, it's an inconsequential roof, and I don't have any of the roofs that are not above walls, as you can see. There's no pink tiles that are not also a wall, except for right here, but I'm not using that spot, so sort of technically following the rules, I guess. Alright, so she's back on major brick risk. We have a whole lot of people on construct tasks. Agro's queuing up a leg, and this first one could be for Tony, for that 1 foot that is in pain, or better yet, for 11, so we can get the nose back. Your radiation is, I guess it's not that bad. Let's go to the medical tab. So Kazumi is the only one with, Kazumi and Hired Gun have particularly high radiation, but they are both on zone restrict, so I don't really have to worry about that. Alright, so here's the large sculpture that I wanted, and that goes right back into your own bedroom. Now, there was a tip that came in about potentially making lavish meals out of insect meat. Because even if you're making fine meals, the net positive for mood is better than it's better than not having fine meals. But I'm sort of not going that route, and the only reason I'm not going that route is there's an ick factor, I suppose. Maybe that's entirely it, but all right. So 11. Cannot install under, okay, oh, I was on Poppy. Let's have Stormy install this. And then she needs to be on no rads because I don't want the Healmech serum to remove her radiation buildup. And then we'll be able to replace her nose that she lost. We will make yet another bionic leg. I would say probably having everyone have at least one bionic leg would be a nice goal. Something worthy to work towards, for sure. Now, it looks to me, ooh, we're finally making some wort. And brewing some beer, which is good. It's been a while since we've had some beer in stock. We're running low on Psych IT, but I have plenty of that coming out. In fact, I will temporarily suspend the Yayo construction in lieu of the Psychite that I'd want. Alright, now she's restricted not because her radiation is high, but because I want her to lose all the radiation poisoning she has. And I'm creating these corridors too wide so that we don't get stuck tripping over lights and the like, slowing down movement speed, because it sometimes is very important to be able to deploy quickly to the western front, and if there's a lot of lights in the way and stuff like that, you know, we can't move and resupply quick. Alright, so Tony's back hauling. She's all healed up for the most part, other than the other permanent injuries. So she is honestly better than she was before the Doomsday Launcher strike, where she had to do a little bit of self-sacrifice. She might not see it that way. I did sort of blow her apart, but I don't know. Alright, creating these walls to be wider. Let's go ahead and break down any that we no longer need. And then likewise, I could do the same thing here. And it might seem that this is sort of nice to have, but this is all part of the anti-sapper defenses. That's why we can easily, happily fund such a sort of expensive construction project, because it all works against sappers. And because the vast majority of the enemies we've been facing have been sappers, or people that have special tactics and the like, it does make sense to really rigorously gear towards defending against that. Actually, I want my walls there. I want it flush. It'll look nicer. Then we're going to have to move the power cables, but that will come in due time. So, Aggro, how is... Here's yet another bionic leg already? You are a work beast, is all I have to say. Alright, so we're breaking down old walls. Cephalo's on a food binge. Oh, good for you, Cephalo. And then I'm going to have these doors bump out a little bit. So I can at least have 2 brawlers defending against 1 incomer. Maybe just a sandbag. It's not perfect, but it'll have to do. Alright, we're going to run the power in the walls so that they can't cause problems, electrical problems and the like. The low chem fuel that we had, definitely going back up. Now, if we really, really needed chem fuel, I could add a biorefinery, butcher the bugs, and turn them into, turn them into chem fuel. That would be, obviously, one way to deal with our high bug and low fuel problem. Is this door... I see. So if we want... Alright, we can... It's kind of annoying. Janes. We can mine out all of the zone here, but we have to be careful about where our no rads go. Now let's haul the blueprint where it needs to go. And then this needs to connect to power. And then if he mines at the drill, he has overhead mountain. He does not, however, have light. So let's move the light as well. And then as far as no rads go, this will no longer be a no rad position. Oh, yes. Let's add the no rads to where the light is. There. Alright, so we can still mine. Yes, I know the door is open, and if I have a fight coming in, I'll have to consider that. Janes, I want you to temporarily super construct, because we have a lot of construction projects that sort of need attention. Yeah, I cannot believe how fast it was to get yet another bionic leg. Kind of nice, honestly. Looks to me like we need another toque. Oh, we need a lot of clothing. Well, we're pretty close to finishing the fabrication of the... Yeah, we're already done with that leg. Alright, let's turn that off and focus on clothing for a bit. So this leg, well, let's see who the best recipient is. It's probably... Oh, earshot off. I gotta fix that. It's probably the best recipient will be Tony. Yeah, it would be Tony. Okay, Tony, you are going to have a left leg installed by your ex-lover. I think what I'll do is put toques at the top and then dusters to make sure people have warm clothing. Although that doesn't do much for nudity. I don't know. Guess it doesn't really matter what order I have it in. I would want all the clothing anyway. Alright, looks like a lot of the construction projects are underway and getting done. Tony has that new leg, just has a destroyed middle finger, so she can't flip off people with her dominant hand. Not to say that it's her dominant hand anymore, she has a bionic left. Cefalu, I'm going to unrestrict you and have you haul this spear that's been sitting here forever. And then re-restrict you. Checking in on the medical tab, we can carefully see who has particularly bad radiation. So it would be Janes and Kazumi. Janes having the highest, but he's doing a lot of the construction projects. If they're breaking down stuff, that's actually good news. It means that a lot of the wiring and other projects are done. And as you can see here, the hallway is now wider, allowing for ease of movement around turrets and lights and all that. That's sort of the ultimate idea. Trying to streamline rapid deployment. There we go. I will, however, need power to run down that way to illuminate this hallway so that it's not bug bait. Alright, so the wall that I wanted destroyed is gone. And I'm going to bump this out. I'm bumping this out so that the turret has better coverages. We can get rid of all the cabling and smooth the rest of the floors. And yes, this is a potentially irradiating task, so anyone that's working on it, I'll keep a watchful eye. And then leaving the turret here has probably perfect coverage. Alright, so the clothing that we wanted, getting crafted up. Tony, I'm gonna stop you from eating that meal and put you on fine and simple meals. And no more meds. Tony's mood has been lower than most, so we'll give the little extra love there. Another thing I want to do is... Kazumi doesn't really need to hear all that well, so I'm just going to do a little ear implant, which will suffice for a replacement ear. Ears are disfiguring, so if we check like how aggro feels, as you can see, their relationship's actually low-key falling apart because of that disfigurement. So let me patch that up. I don't want another breakup going on if I can help it. Safalu, you are probably heftily irradiated. You are, so I'm going to put you on no rads. There's plenty of jobs to be had in a no-rad zone. There's lots of hallways and the like that need smoothing. Poppy's on a work frenzy. That's good. I'll help her construct a little bit faster. Looks like we have plenty of marble. In fact, at this point, it wouldn't hurt to start cranking out grand statues out of marble. And what I'll do is let me actually crank out small statues. Small statues are the best bang for your buck in terms of how much money you get for the materials you put in. For trade, I'll crank out a bunch of small statues and I can pod them to the to trade for like uranium and plasteel and other rare resources that we'll need for shipbuilding. Alright, so the ear implant, we are good. The cochlear implant, we will just go ahead and immediately install that. It's not going to save the relationship, but being less disfigured... In RimWorld, being disfigured is rough. So now, as you can see, his relationship with Kazumi just jumped. It went up by 15, and that's pretty nice. And he might have even assaulted her as a result of that disfigurement. It's hard to tell. I'd have to check the logs, but it's possible, even believable. They are mean to one another, is all I'm gonna say. So 11, your health. We are waiting for your radiation to get to 0. That's still gonna be a little bit while. Sniper rifles for marine armor. That's worth excellent. That is a pretty good... I'm likely to do that trade just because we have a bunch of sniper rifles sitting around. We have plenty. And marine armor is much, much more expensive to make than just trading off our sniper rifles. Plus, we have so many dang sniper rifles. So yeah, that's... I'll absolutely do that, but I have a bit of time. It's not urgent or anything. Alright, Mr. James, I'm going to radiate you a little bit, but it's mostly because I would like this wall to be built, as we'll be a lot more secure once it is, and it's bright out, and you should be able to build it quite quick. So here is what, let's check his pathing when he gets the required materials. As you can see, because the limited radiation zone is contiguous, he goes along the safe path all the way to where the wall needs to be built and doesn't take a shortcut across the power or courtyard or anything like that, which is excellent. I'm just making sure he eats with a table. Alright, this here does not need to be roofed up. In fact, it shouldn't. Alright, Janes, I'm going to put you back on no rads. And this light needs power. There we go. So the way sappers work is they will always go to a spot of least resistance. So in most cases, a spot of least resistance generally means unguarded by a turret. They don't really consider walls as barriers. So if you put a wall up, they don't care unless the wall is super thick. So it's really important to have full 100% coverage for the areas that you want to protect. And that can be challenging. But they also don't care if the turret's on or off. That actually is not a factor, which is good. That way I can, for instance, put a uranium turret here to cover all the inside here, and all these turrets can just be off, is I guess what I'm saying. They, like I said, they don't consider whether it's on or off. In fact, you could even technically have a turret that could be unpowerable. Like this one, if I put it here, it would still consider it as quote-unquote protected, which is interesting in my mind. Alright, so there's a gold zone there. What I'm going to do is move... Actually, that turret... Well, if I move that turret up, I really need to move this door, like, anywhere else. And then that means I need to move this door up. But yeah, I'm trying to have the stuff that we set up not be physically in the way at all. And it's looking much, much better. Alright, so this turret is all set. There doesn't seem to be dead power around to turn it off. Oh, there's dead power in the middle of the room. You can't reach it. Alright, I'll put dead power right next to you then. Wait, waterproof? Oh, my bad. Should be a normal cable, not a waterproof cable. Wasn't paying attention. Alright, Tony, I know you're down in the dumps, but you gotta... You're luxuriantly comfortable, eat fine meals, have an impressive bedroom. You gotta turn your attitude around. Alright, so there's nowhere to even haul the marble anymore. So what I'm gonna do is just copy this zone here. And what I'm going to do is store some marble down here for quick repair. And that way, we can replace walls quicker. And in fact, I'm going to make it an even higher priority than our main stockpile. And that way, if we ever find ourselves in a position where we need to quickly repair a wall, there's plenty of marble around. That's always a good idea. And blocks are so inexpensive, raiders just aren't going to be interested in stealing it. It's just not something a typical raider is going to want to grab from your colony. You know, if it was plasteel or uranium as a wall material, yeah, they might grab a stack of plasteel. Like, absolutely. I mean, it's plasteel. That sounds awesome, but... Alright, so let's re-up our turret coverage. So we have full coverage in this little box here. This area has full coverage too, because these turrets can shoot past any of these deployed power generators. There's no coverage here, but that's really inconsequential. This full wall has turret coverage. This full entrance has turret coverage, so 100% coverage in everywhere around here. Don't have coverage here, but that's fine. I don't have coverage in these bedrooms either. It would be tough to cover these bedrooms affordably, because we would need to put uranium turrets in there. I don't have turret coverage here, and this is actually somewhere I'm quite likely to get attacked, to be perfectly honest. This is an attractive, right in this spot, is an attractive hole in my coverage. Now, one way I could fix that is just to move the turrets on the other side. It makes it challenging to repair them, but given how expensive it would be to keep up my turret coverage there, that actually might be something I do. It's just to... Because as you can see here, if I just plop one turret out here, yes, if someone spawns here, it's annoying because they immediately get shot and will retaliate. But it does make it a little bit easier to have proper coverages, which is something I'm interested in. All right, and in order to do that, let's close that door. I'm going to add a door here. And that way we'll be able to have access. Oh, we have an infestation. Well, no surprise where that came in, but I am somewhat out of time. So I know it's a little bit of a cliffhanger, but I've killed a whole lot of infestations in previous episodes. So I think it's pretty safe to say this infestation will be safely handled. In fact, even easier than times before, because we have better arms and armor. We have assault rifles to use. We have bionic arms wielding plasteel blades. If you have any tips, tricks, feedback for me, drop me a line, and I do hope that you tune in next time. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all later. Adios.